There has been so much in the media about the impending market crash, and I can't go through a day without hearing two or three times, oh, I'm waiting for the market to crash, then I'm going to buy something. I even had a colleague say to me, oh, I overheard people talking about the crash, and that's going to change everything. We are not going to crash, at least in the near future. And I'm not a proponent of operating from hearsay. So I like to look at data. And I have some data that will show you that, yes, you are seeing price reductions. And I believe that is because we have sellers who are assuming it is still March, April, and we're moving from a very, very intense seller's market into what would be more equilibrium, but we're not quite there. I'll show you the data I'm looking at that tells me, number one, we're still in a seller's market, and number two, we're not looking at a crash. The real estate market comes down to supply and demand. If you look at what both of those are doing right now, you may understand where I'm coming from. This is a buyer demand index. This is put together by our MLS system, and this looks at buyer behavior. So this is all pre-sale activities. They look at online views, how many showings are happening throughout the market. They can take it down to zip code level, but they break it out across the DMV into types of housing at different price points. Now, it says July data, but it's June. This is the change in buyer demand from May to June. And you can see in every sector that there's not a huge amount of change in buyer behavior. In spite of that change the Fed did June 15th, I would expect that to be reflected in buyer behavior when we're looking at June data. More importantly is this statement. Inventory levels range from a 1.2 months of supply for mid-price single-family homes to 2.7 months of supply for higher-priced condos. So in our market, the highest months of supply we're seeing is 2.7 months. That is still a very strong seller's market. We do not have enough supply to meet current buyer demand. To have a balanced market between buyers and sellers, we would need 5 to 7 months of supply. So that to me says that we are maybe approaching a more balanced market, but we're certainly not looking at a crash. We don't have the inventory for the real estate market to collapse in the DMV. So you say we're in a recession. So that must mean that home prices are going to decline. And here is a chart. This is national data from a company called CoreLogic that tracks real estate data. These are the last recessions we have seen. We all know 2008, horrible lending practices. Yes, prices did experience a severe decline. The only other time a recession meant that home prices would decline was in 1991. You saw 2020, we had a pandemic that restricted the amount of properties on the market because people didn't want people coming through their homes. They were uncertain about the economic impact of the pandemic. They weren't putting their houses on the market. That drove up prices of real estate. So basically, this is saying that a recession does not equal a decline in pricing. I hope this helps alleviate some of the fear about a market crash or our market being in a bubble. If I can provide you more specific information down to your zip code, I'm happy to do it.